Hello, welcome back to BlenderSushi Live Noding. In this episode, we're gonna take a look at the creations of 3D typography, and I call it the Noodle typography. You might have seen it before. Basically, if you um, if you try to use the KD3, there is one node that does it. KD3 closest edge. This one node actually kind of like try to make a connections amongst vertices, but it does it like in a as a whole. I'll show you real quick what I mean by that. So I have this text. Gonna call it Noodle this time. Gonna save it. Noodle typography, and I'm gonna create some thickness. And then I'm gonna remesh this real quick. Smooth remesh, remove. Okay, just a simple text like that. Actually gonna quickly bake this one because I don't need to keep this alive. So I'm gonna keep the original. I'm gonna bake this one. Convert to mesh. Okay, so we have this mesh that we can work on, and the next thing we do is to use the objects in MK2, and of course it crashes. There's some kind of weird bugs there. Hopefully I saved this already. If not, then we gotta start from the beginning. Cool, save. Okay, Noodle typography and then objects in, and a get selection, and we have our text. There's an update with the objects in MK2. It's a lot tidier, and then has a has a lot of neat thing. Actually, I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. Get selections. Of course, get selections get this object, and then there's this select that will reselect the object that's in the list. For now, we're just gonna use the vertices of this object, plug into that guy. KD3 closest edges will then do this some kind of algorithm. It will find like a bunch of it will connect bunch of points to their closest edge based on the specified parameters here, and you will see that soon. Slowing down a little bit. So the resulting is just the edges, so we need to plug in the vertices as well. This one might have too many edges. So yeah, this one has a lot of edges. It's tried to connect a lot of them. Let me try reducing this, skipping kind of the creation of the edges. The higher the skip number, then the faster it's gonna calculate. So we have something that's kind of like a nodaling. However, this nodal is not the result that I wanted. There is actually a code that's provided by one of Sverchok developer. His name is Linus. So you know already that we have like a scripted node, right? And this node has a bunch of example like this, all of this. If you haven't tried it, you can have a look and then look at the code, and then you can study the code. I'll show you real quick. So if we load like best candidate, rectangle, circle, fits triangle, or default cube ordered, perhaps. If we import this code, and then we can take a look under text. You can see here there's a Python code for Sverchok nodes. You can have a read and have a study. Apart from this template, apparently there are more that's not being shown here. You need to go under Sverchok master. If you download Sverchok and you open the zip, there is this node script and there's the template. This is the template that you can see, right? But there are more. There's some of them by Zeffi here. Like I have not taken a look of all of them. Definitely I have to have a look at some point. There's some by Nikitron, Cole, Lee, Efnor. At some point the developers are working in Sverchok. There's this one by Lee, and the one that we want is this BTrace KD3. So BTrace KD3 is something that's I think Linus ported at some point from the BTrace add-on. You might have seen the result when you install the BTrace add-on and then you use it on the mesh. So let's take a look at this. Let's grab this guy. In Mac, I think I use the Command I and then just grab the path here. And text, open text block. Find the BTrace. Okay, this is a BTrace KD3, and we just load it here. Okay, this is the node. Now we want to work on this text properly, so we need to use matrix apply, vector and matrices. Plug in there. Now we have the points in position. Okay. Now what does this node does? You just give it a try. It's just expecting vertices. So if I plug in the vertices and the edges into the vertices should be from the matrix apply here, and then the edges plug in there. Now we have the Noodle typography. This is the Noodle that I like better. Let me quickly bake it. So there you go. This is something that you might get when you're using the BTrace add-on. So BTrace add-on is one of the cool add-on that I use often in the past because it can trace anything, and then yeah, it's a really cool add-on. It's a once, but for add-on normally it's like a once-off kind of process. You do something, you run the add-on, and then you get a result. That's it. But with Sverchok you can do a little bit more, like actually a lot more. So this is the Noodle typography that I was talking about. The cool thing about the Noodle is currently it's just in polygon edges. You can use a Skinner modifier to do. Skin modifier is like 100 times or 1,000 times faster than before. I was actually surprised. It creates this mesh based on polygon edges. You can use this definitely. It's because it's a mesh and it's pretty much clean. It's pretty much there. It's done. You can use subdivision surfaces, and you have nice smooth result like that. This is one of the noodle type. It's currently looking like a instant noodle. It is a pretty instant. You use this thanks to this node, thanks to Linus to write this. Actually, this is one of the answer by Sverchok developer one time when I requested, and then Linus spent some time to make this. I really thankful for this. What's nice about script node is that you can dig through and you can read the nodes, and then you understand the algorithm behind it. This is really, really powerful. I cannot say anymore. If you there is this hour of code thing. I don't know. It's maybe the initiative from the programmers in US. I don't know. The hour of code kind of pushes you to be to be more like to have more interest in programming, and Python is one of the language, and then and some game programmers also give you some tutorials to do the hour of code thing. I think Blender, Python, and Sverchok are perfect for it, and also animation nodes is perfect. There's another extra layers of learning like all this noding stuff. However, this is really like the meat. This is the thing that I'm also now started to dig into the scripting. I tried this many times over a couple of years, only until today, until I understand all this node stuff, and I think I should start digging into the code. Yeah, well, anyway, back to the Noodle. What else can we do with the Noodle? So remember, we have our text here, and the text currently is giving out the vertices of the text. But you know that Sverchok also read particles. So with this text being selected, and then we are on a frame 1, let's turn on particle system, and then let's born all the particles at frame 1. We have 1000, and then you can play around with these vertices, faces, volume. It's very interesting, all the outcome of this. You get all kind of different result of your Noodle typography. Oh yeah, by the way, this guy is actually still kind of alive. You can actually use the things like build modifier. So don't put the build modifier at the end, put it up above before the skin modifier. Now this thing, not a valid vertex found your mesh. I don't. Okay. Okay, now it's working. So you can see with the Noodle typography here, because of the algorithm, it allows you to kind of grow this text, because it's a single, kind of like a single process from the starting point to the end points. It connects all in one go. It's just like just when you write with grease pencil, you have the resulting is like a single kind of curve. It's easier if I use a curve. Okay, this is the result of the Noodle typography. For example, if I convert this to curve, and then with curve you also have this ability to extrude and whatnot. This is really cool. You can of course animate this using the bevel thing. You see here, apparently the start point is that point, and then yeah, all the way it creates this kind of ribbon noodle type. Of course, in the algorithm itself, you see there's a starting points that you can give here, and then you can randomize the seed. But okay, let's back to our particles. So we have the particle, we have 1000 being emitted as a volume. We can turn off the physics, and yeah, we are good to go. Let me turn off this guy. Let's take a look at the particles. We might be able to create more, but this is alright for a start. Let's source our particle. Particles node. This is the object node, and particle system vertices. This is gonna give us all the vertices of particle points that we can plug into the BTrace KD3 node by Linus. Plug this guy in, plug this guy in, and look at the result. So the result is more erratic. This is if I bake it, this is the result, and this is more like a handmade noodle. Okay, instant noodle, handmade noodles. Okay, and this one, of course, you can simply turn it into a curve and whatnot. Offset, actually not offset, extrude and depth. It's gonna give us thickness. See it's different type of noodle. It's really cool. There's also one thing interesting with this KD3 stuff. You can actually take a little bit of tidy up here so that the connection lines you can just you can cut it or you can clean up manually. It's not a big deal. It does the hard job anyway. If you use the polyline viewer in Sverchok, the funny thing is about this is it connects the points based on order, I think. So this guy only expecting vertices. So the result is something completely different. You might have seen this before. This is just like if you are using the UV connections, you get that. It's not so much a noodle, maybe it's something else, but it's interesting anyway. And then you also have the UV connection. Actually, there's a pipe. So if we want to use the pipe, I think this is probably better. It's more like a streamline from Sverchok. You don't need to do further processing. There we go. There's the result. Close cup fill and let's have a look what we need to do here. So pipe, close, and cup fill. Turning off close actually give us this guy, and this guy is like a bunch of boxes. Let me check real quick. Looks fairly interesting. I think round and close give us nicer looking pipe. It's more like a noodle. Maybe don't close. Give us all this kind of like the topping for the noodle, I guess. Yeah, we can make that. So lots of potential here. You can have instant noodle and with some topping, and then or you can have like a handmade noodle with a topping there. Maybe give it some color. I know it's a little bit strange, but it's pretty fun to think about all this. And it's the instant noodle. Maybe Indomie mie goreng. Indomie mie goreng, instant noodle, or this is a proper Japanese ramen with some vegetables topping. So yeah, that's maybe this is a chopstick. I don't know. That's, I guess, pretty much what I want to show in this live noding. It's fairly entertaining, I guess. Hopefully, it's basically. I want to say that I'm started to look into the codes more seriously. So far, if you learn like all this noding stuff, procedural stuff, you probably start with the nodes and you use the power node, the simple nodes that give you something right away just with just a single node, and then you start to use like 10-20 nodes if it's the setup is more complex. It feels limited, but it's actually like a good starting point because there's a whole wealth of problem solving and then potentials to do a lot of things that I didn't even think about it. When I started BlenderSushi and writing the blogs a few years back ago, like 6 years ago, I started learning Blender and I decided, okay, I will try this and then I will make like a lot of ideas. I don't know if I can end up with 1,000 live noding videos, I don't know, and make a books. It's a work in progress. But apart from trying to come up with creative ideas and making like nice things in 3D, whether it's for printing or for visual, BlenderSushi is also about learning. The learning part I like so much, learning and mentoring. As much I'm still learning actually, and then I get a lot of help from Sverchok developer and also from animation nodes developer, Jax. They're a lot younger than me, I guess, but they're brilliant. They're really smart, and I also learned from a lot of Blender artists and a lot of inspirations. And I also found, of course, from some artists that use commercial software like Houdini and Maya. Still, I try to put all this together. But again, the learning part is really crucial here. So I don't like the fact that if you work in a commercial project, everything become proprietary. You can't learn that part. Okay, it's proprietary. It's theirs. It's the company owned, and maybe some artists will try to share it with the rest of us, but mostly don't even care. Okay, but with Blender, I learned that it's sharing the knowledge is really like a big thing about Blender, so everyone can learn and everyone can use it, and hopefully we can come up with something great. Okay. Anyway, enough lecture. I'll see you in the next live noding, and if you have any comments, you can leave it down below, feedbacks. Thanks again for Linus to provide this notes. Hopefully you're all right and come back to help with the Sverchok development. Looking forward to it. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.